All right. Welcome back, my regular viewers, listeners, and watchers. And of course, if you happen to be here for the very first time, welcome. Before I go any further, my name is Rahul George, India's premier self hypnosis coach and your personal guide. And for those of you who happen to be here, not just once, but many, many times, I want to welcome you, especially because this is the maiden journey to the iHypnosis coaching journeys. This is our maiden voyage. So I want to welcome you. I know there are some of you that have been watching these lives literally since 2022 November, if memory serves me right. And today, of course, I have a very, very special guest, the first of our 100 in this year, 2024. So I really want to take a moment, even before I introduce my very, very special guest. I've known this gem of a person, this sweetheart, way back since I think it was around June or July of 2022. Little did I know that that chance meeting would bring us here. And of course, you can show your face when you're ready. But I really do want to take this moment to, uh, in fact, while we do that, let's get my guest's face on and let me stop the screen share. All right. So whenever you're ready, you can turn on your camera. And like I said, I really want to take this moment to, to thank my guest. Some of you may know him from the the common community that we've all been part of. Maybe you're already part of it. I'm talking about somebody who is fondly known as Shrims. So Shrims, that's your cue to go ahead and turn on your camera. And like I said, I met this person way back in 2022, and I had no idea what life had in store for us, for me. And of course, in 2023, this is last year, I, I really was going through a really, really tough phase in my life. This was around the summer of 2023. And, he literally was that angel that popped into my life. So it's really, really important to, to be present, um, to really express gratitude. That's one thing in my life that I've found very, very difficult in the early days, to actually express gratitude. It's one thing to know it, it's another thing to express it and to share it, in an open forum like this. So Shrims, welcome. Like I said, this is me just taking a moment to really, be present to who you are and what you do. And I know there are countless people out there who you may or may not hear from, but who really do hold you in high regard in their life and on their professional journey as a digital coach. And like I shared with you, and probably somewhere in the middle, I'll kind of interject and share a little bit more about how you really, were a very, very important part and a very, very important um, element in what I'm doing today. So with that, and I'll keep a little bit of that mystery going. But with that, of course, I want to welcome you, Shrims. Good to have you here on the very first episode of the iHypnosis coaching journey. So welcome.
Thank you, Rahul. What a fantastic introduction over there. Really touchy, and I still remember our first conversation in 2022, how it started, how it unfolded, and where it led to. Sort of lot of deeper connections that we built in a very short period of time because of our natures, the way we see things, we perceive things are pretty same. And I can never forget those days or those countless discussions that we always had. So it's always a privilege and a special feeling whenever I connect with you. And I know what's your level of depth in terms of whether it's knowledge, whether it's relationship, whether it's love and respect, honesty, integrity. It's I know that. So I know where you come from and where you are at and where you will be going, and I'll always be there. So it's always a privilege, a huge regard for me. It's a big deal for me to be with you uh, today at this moment, on this day. Thank you for
Wow.
having me.
Thank you, thank you. Like they say, when you put good out in the world, there's only good that comes back. So really want to uh, soak in this moment, because here's the thing: we, even in what we're doing right now, we don't know the the impact, the ripples that we are creating out there. There are people who are on the journey that we've been on, who are probably, like 3 or 5 or 7, or even further back in time, in terms of the number of milestones that one covers to get here, right? I know that you've been on a journey, and that's one of my intentions, is to share with the world, especially digital coaches, and people who are coaches and healers, because I know we are a special breed of people. It takes a lot to be the kind of people that we are, and to do this day in and day out. Uh, some might say, selflessly. We know it is effortlessly, and yet it does obviously take a toll. So that's my intention, at this point, um, to check in with you, and to also ask you, like, what's your journey been, uh, like, what got you to the point where you realize that, okay, I am meant to be this coach. What's that journey been like?
It's been I don't know, there are so many emotions involved in the journey, in any journey, in fact, that it'll take me some time to actually gather my thoughts and answer it structured way. But before I begin, I must thank you for this initiative, because um, during our journey, during our from the inception to the gestation to the everything, right, we have seen so many coaches
Mm,
in our lives. And and all of them, as our mentor, one of our mentors says that different people at different stages. Somebody is entering the airport, somebody is checking in the airport,
yeah.
somebody has entered the airport, somebody are in the premium lodge, somebody are in the economy class.
Mm,
So different people, different journey. It's extremely important for the coaches to uh, understand the journey of others. One thing is that you understand the technicalities of somebody, like technicalities of doing something, like the tool
mm,
set, the mindset, and the skill set. I mean, especially the skill set and tool set, but about the mindset, right? You need to be in such forums like what how my friend Rahul is doing here, like how you're doing it. Is that it's very important to share the journey, to know about each other and learn a lot, because like how I said, that the number of coaches that we have dealt with,
mm,
right, and we
yeah.
have interacted with, offline and online both.
Right.
And you have dealt probably like 100 times more than me. But then uh, I believe that, if I may say so, ballpark, that 90% of the coaches are unable to
Mm,
achieve something which they really should have achieved by now,
mm,
because of this, because of the mindset.
yeah.
And that's what the journey teaches us. And when we learn about the journeys of each other, and your 500 series is about that, if I
Mm,
if I'm
yeah.
correct about it. You
Yeah.
may
Exactly.
fill in if you want to,
Sure.
but I think that's the core thing, that we want to know each other. We want to be aware that what are the emotions involved, what are the mindsets, what are the failures,
Mm,
the wins, the twists and the spins and the wrong investments and the good investments, right?
Right. Right.
And that way, and my uncle always used to say is that the three types of people,
Mm.
right? So one who never learn from their mistakes, they are
Mm.
called the fools.
Mm.
Number two, there are people who will learn from their own mistakes, they are
Mm.
called the intelligent ones, they
Mm.
have some intelligence. And then there are people who learn from others
Others.
mistake, and they are called the wise ones. And that's the
Mm.
difference between a trainer and a mentor,
Mm.
I think so, right? A trainer has intelligence, but a mentor has learned so much, not only from his own failures or her own failures, but also through these forums. So, if you are in the coaching journey, one day or the other, you're going to be a mentor, not
Mm.
just be a trainer or a teacher, but you're going to be a mentor who's a leader, who's an implementer.
Mm.
And in order to be there, you need to definitely be wise enough
Mm.
to learn from these journeys. So kudos to you. This is the need of the hour, and I don't know what's this show called, but you need to clock a name to it, a
The
hashtag name to it. And
iHypnosis coaching journeys.
the iHypnosis coaching journey, right? So let's do it. I request all my predecessors and all of the people who are going to come to this show to give your best to this show,
Mm.
because this is going to be a very important show in the coaching industry. Thank you
Mm.
so much, Rahul. And
Thank you.
uh, about the journey, what can I say? Like, there are a lot of lots and lots of losses and wins,
Mm.
lots of pleasant surprises, nightmare shocks,
Mm.
lot of climbing and
Sure. Sure.
falling down, a
Mm.
lot of things. So it's been topsy turvy, and it's
Mm.
not been very easy.
Right.
And that's what I have been through uh, when I transform myself from an
Mm.
employee to an entrepreneur.
Mm.
So that's the biggest thing I will say, that whatever the myths that I had
Mm.
to crush them uh, by meeting after meeting with people like you, after meeting with our mentors. My myths were crushed, and it's a continuous evolvement. The journey has been a continuous evolvement.
Mm.
So in a typical way sense, I
Mm.
would say that first it was a grudge.
Mm. Okay.
All right, like I
Okay.
would like to
Yeah.
depict my journey as like
Sure.
this, okay? Like, if I
Mm-hmm.
can just milestone in my
Mm-hmm.
own way. First, it
Mm.
was a grudge.
Mm.
Grudge on what? Grudge on everything, the
Mm.
system, the education system, the employment system, which we are all suffocated and suffered off, right? The
Mm.
employment, I had a grudge on that, especially the employment system,
Mm.
the way the corporate worked. And
Right.
the grudge made me take a decision to quit.
Mm.
So from the grudge, it became a message. Okay, then I had to
Mm.
find my message. Only grudge won't do anything,
Mm.
right? Okay, you will take a step, of quitting something. You have
Sure.
some money, not
Mm.
a lot of money, but you have some money to
Mm.
start, let's say, an
Right.
offline business or an
Mm-hmm.
online business. So you have
Mm.
some money from your ppf, gpf, epf,
Right.
this, that, ancestral stuff, and gold and whatnot, and probably you can sell your old car. I don't care, but you have
Right.
some money to invest. Okay, great.
Mm.
Now you are doing that because you have the
Mm.
grudge,
Mm.
and you want to prove something.
Mm.
You want to answer back. You want to
Mm.
reply. You want to answer back to everything that you suffered
Mm.
from your
Mm.
family, your relationship,
Mm.
your employment, your education, your parents, your
Mm.
friends, your relatives, who never were true to you.
Right.
Maybe,
Mm.
in my case, maybe.
Mm.
Well,
Mm.
there were true at many points, they were also
Sure.
not true at many points.
Mm.
There were supportive at some time, they were not supportive. So a rebel was
Right.
born
Mm.
when I became an entrepreneur. The grudge made me a rebel. The
Mm.
rebel started taking steps. And when you are rebellious, though it's a very good quality in many sense, but
Mm.
it also backfires in so many other senses, right? So you
Mm.
understand that you are an entrepreneur, like you are an employee, and suddenly you are an entrepreneur.
Mm.
So your AC, if it didn't work, you had to call the
Mm.
admin, and it was
Right.
fixed. Now you have to fix.
Mm.
If there is something on the floor, you would call
Right.
the caretakers
Mm.
and the admins, and they will come and clean it
Mm.
up. The housekeeping,
Right.
you have to clean it in your case.
Right.
So from opening the shutter to shutting down the
Mm.
shutter, and in between everything,
Mm.
creating
Right.
the accounts, getting the GST, doing this, that,
Mm.
and what not, getting the software, the hardware. You have a
Mm.
laptop which sucks from your
Mm.
employment, and then you
Right.
realize, oh, to become an entrepreneur, you have to upgrade your laptop. Now,
Wow.
what you thought that you will invest in one, two, three things because you're a rebel and you can get it done.
Right.
But then you realize that, oh my God, that's not enough.
Mm.
Now I have to invest more. So you keep investing to do things, and then you realize, oh my God, in the midst of all this, I forgot marketing and selling,
Mm.
because I was only building. I
Correct.
was creating, but I
Mm.
was not marketing and selling. So you
Mm.
realize that. So then you market and sell it. But when you market and sell, you realize that, hey, uh, you are limited by your
Mm.
experience,
Mm.
because you are under the assumption that you have, I call it the gray hair syndrome. You have
Mm.
the assumption that
Right.
you have certain years of experience, you have certain kind of skills, and you think that that's enough, but you never learned marketing skill.
Mm.
Even if you were a marketer in your job or a
Right.
seller in your job, digital marketing, digital selling, online marketing, online selling is completely different, and selling
Mm.
and marketing in the education industry is completely different.
Right. Right.
So you never learned all that, so you are
Mm.
limited by your experience, as another one of our mentors says,
Mm.
that you're limited by your experience. So I was
Mm.
limited by experience. So you know that you want to invest, you have invested, gadget, this, that. Now you
Mm.
realize that you have not done marketing and selling, and then when you go for marketing and
Mm.
selling, you're not getting anything because you're so limited
Mm.
with experience, instead
Mm.
of getting empowered with your expertise.
Mm.
So either you get limited with your experience,
Mm.
or you get empowered with your expertise. The choice is
Mm.
yours. Now 90% of the people are limited with their experience. They have gray hair
Mm.
syndrome, been there, done
Mm.
that.
Mm.
Right now, you are in a system, in a hierarchy system in employment. Some people used to look up to you, and they used to say Jai Hind Saab and all that,
Mm.
yes boss and no
Mm.
boss and this, that, and you.
Right.
But and so now you're in education industry, and now you think that, okay, I'll conduct a webinar and everybody will
Right.
behave the same way. They will listen to
Right.
me, and nobody cares a
Mm.
fish
True.
about what you do, who you
Mm.
are, what you
Mm.
were. So
Mm.
there, in the journey, Rahul, I went through a lot of, I would say, realizations,
Mm.
emotions, depressions,
Mm.
whatnot, and and they had to happen. And this is another thing which I wanted to share with
Right.
everybody. They
Mm.
must happen.
Mm.
That nail has to be stuck. That chewing gum has to get stuck in your
Mm.
Italian leather shoe. It has to. You have to.
Right.
You have to look at that chewing gum. It doesn't
Right.
matter. You have a bloody 20 lakhs. Whatever Italian leather shoe, but you have to make your hands dirty. You can't even
Mm.
ask somebody
Mm.
to, hey, I'm showing my shoe, can you please stick the
Right.
chewing gum
Right.
out of it? No, you have to make your hands dirty.
Mm.
You have to get the dirt out of your shoe. They had
Mm.
to happen. The depression, the stuck ups, the losses in the market, the wrong choices, they all had to happen. And when
Mm.
they happened, then the transformation
Mm.
started. And guess what?
Mm. Mm.
From the last 6 years, I think 2016 I left my job. 2000, yeah, 2017 I would say. So
Mm.
17 in January, right? 2017 January.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been like what, 7 years
7 years
by
now.
now? 7 years.
Mm.
I realized this only after a good 3 years
Wow.
into entrepreneurship. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize in 5 months or 4 months or
Mm.
3 months of failures.
Mm.
Too many chewing gums had to get stuck in my Italian leather shoe. And because you see, I was rebellious, as I was said.
Right.
Like you're a rebel, and you will say, "No, I'll make it
Mm.
work." So there is a
Right.
thin line between being a rebel and being a fool.
Right.
And I was not able to realize that what was thin line. So that's what happened,
Mm.
Rahul, and this has been phenomenal. And I can
Mm.
say now proudly that I have learned so many things, and I have gained so much trust of people,
Mm.
and because I made my hands dirty. I allowed myself, I permitted myself to get
Mm.
dirty, to go down, right? To bow down, to embrace expertise, not
Mm.
experience,
Right.
right? And as you
Mm.
can see, I have less gray hair now. So without coloring. So so no more gray hair syndrome.
Right.
And that's it. That's been the nutshell. I'm sorry if I've
Mm.
taken a
No,
lot of
no,
time, but I
not
thought
at
I'll
all. Not at
just
all. So, see, that if you ask me, that's one of the reasons why when we were talking, I said it's important that people hear your story because I can only talk about my own experience that having been in this space for now close to 2 decades, I know coaching, training is one thing, but coaching is a very, very, it can be a very, very lonely pursuit, right?
absolutely.
It is driven by the most, pure intent, but it can be very, very lonely unless and until you have these kind of moments where you're hearing somebody else's story. And it's one thing, like you mentioned, the journeys, the 500 journeys, those are stories of people who have, they have like, they've gone probably like, you know like 3 milestones ahead, say, from where we
True,
are at this
true.
point, right? So
Yeah,
these are
yeah,
people who
yeah.
have, like a fan following, people who have really figured out media in a way where they've been able to, like, build a brand in their own,
Right,
island or environment, right? That's
right,
one kind
right,
of
right.
coach. The other kind is people who are where the struggle is very different,
Yep.
right? Where almost every day, either you or your family member will ask you that important question that you don't want to hear, which is, why are you doing this, right?
Yeah,
Get a job, or how long will this go on, right? Because
exactly.
whether you're doing webinars, whether you're doing, um, whether you're running cohorts, it doesn't matter what your choice is to be able to build the business, but unless and until it clicks, ever so often you will hear this question being asked, right?
See,
Why are you doing this, right? How
100%.
long will this continue, right? ये क्या पागलपन, it's like, ये क्या पाल रखे हो, like, stop it, So, my point
Yeah.
being that when you hear stories of other people who are on the journey and who have, in some ways, similar trajectory, right? And yet, there may be something very different about listening to someone's story, which can make them feel that, yeah, you know what? I'm actually glad that I'm doing this. Because coaching is, in my opinion, and I can only, look at my own sort of trajectory, it's a long term thing. Like,
Yeah,
I'm sure you heard
absolutely.
people saying it's long term. Now, long term, I don't mean 1 or 2 or 3 years, right?
No, not at
I'm
all.
talking like, if you zoom out and you say, okay, imagine doing this for the next 5 years, imagine doing this for the next 10 years, right? Then whatever struggles that someone's having at this point, eventually that will also seem worth it, right? So,
True.
keeping that in mind, I'm just thinking out loud. uh, like, you sort of gave us a broad flow of your life over the last, you said, about 6 to 7 years, right?
Seven,
seven
seven
years
years.
right
Yeah.
around 16 was when you said, okay, insult,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to fix this, right? Like, it started
True.
there, right? So,
Right.
if you zoom out and you look at the last, say, 7 years, and again, you can share as much as you feel is relevant or you feel comfortable, but it's like, what would be maybe one failure that felt like a failure then, but today you're like so glad that it actually happened?
One failure that, well, there has been there have been many,
Correct.
okay, like
Correct.
many failures, um but I'm thinking of that one thing which
Like say top
actually,
three, and then from that maybe one. So you
yeah,
have a
we
little
can, like,
more
we can,
breathing space to
yeah,
say, like which
correct,
one
correct, correct.
comes up right now. You're like, yeah, that one. Damn, when it happened then, but I'm so glad it happened now as I think about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what? So top three is like, I would say the first one is that experience versus expertise, right? That's
Okay.
like, that's the first thing that hit me,
Ah,
right? That was the right, like I had to fail because I trusted only on my experience.
right.
So the failure that I got because of only thinking about experience
Mm,
made me realize that
mm,
how important it is to shift your focus to
mm,
expertise, gathering expertise, right? And
right.
there are like a lot of things. It's not just about your niche, that,
Mm,
so called, that your specifications.
mm,
I'm sorry, I'm getting so many calls, I don't know why, but just, yeah. So it's not just about that niche and that, that
mm,
only thing and the T shape of learning, but yeah, sorry, it's about the T shape of learning. So that you have depth on one point. I like,
mm,
imagine a T,
mm,
like the letter T, and let's
mm,
say you are at the center, which is
mm,
your niche. Now what you
mm,
do is you drill down, right? Now that
right.
is experience. Like, you've
Mm,
got some experience, okay, you can drill down more and more. Like,
mm,
let's say yoga, okay, what kind of yoga, this yoga,
mm,
that yoga. Like, you're learning more and more and more, you're following whatever,
sure.
whoever you have to follow, you're reading the books. That is
Mm,
one.
mm,
But then imagine the T where there is a
mm,
horizontal, like the
mm,
bar,
mm,
where you have to learn other things
right.
as well.
Mm,
And that's what I mean, experience versus expertise. Like,
got
for
it.
example, in 2024, in fact, it started a couple of years ago
Mm,
already. In 2024, if you're not digital marketing, you're not marketing.
right.
As simple as that,
Mm,
right? So do you know how to do digital marketing in the right way, or are you
mm,
following mentors after mentors and webinars after webinars, and still your brain is
mm,
shutting down whenever you open a laptop, right? Is that what's happening with you? Well,
mm,
you probably chose the wrong mentor. So now that itself
mm,
is a investment of time,
mm.
money, energy, decision making, critical thinking.
Yeah.
You have to be calm and take the decision of the T learning. That's the
Mm,
first thing that
mm,
hit me.
mm,
That shaped a lot. That shaped me a lot. Like,
mm,
that reshaped many things in my
right.
business.
Mm,
um, so when and so I basically, you have to become a lifelong learner, and all of your
mm.
viewers can type LLL in the comments if they're watching this, which is lifelong learner, right? So please get that very clearly, right? It
Mm,
doesn't matter you have made crores, or you have 10,000 rupees in your bank account. It doesn't matter you are this certified, that certified, and you have gray hair and this and that. What
mm,
really matters is, like, you must be an LLL, right?
mm,
Lifelong learner. So that's one
mm.
thing. Now, I knew this from my martial art days, but then I had
Right.
never implemented it. I only
Correct.
implemented it in martial art, but I didn't implement it in my real life. And that's why the Zen stuff is so important to learn. So then I realized that, okay, you have to be expert. So that's number one.
Mm,
And number two, I would say, which the failures which reshaped me, investment,
mm,
right? The bad investments. Now the
mm,
investments had to go wrong, right?
mm.
Now see, there is a subtle difference between a businessman and an entrepreneur,
Okay.
right? Like,
Okay.
according to my views, in my opinion,
Mm,
okay, when you're a coach, you're an entrepreneur, not a
okay.
businessman in the beginning.
Mm,
But
mm,
the sooner you shift yourself from an entrepreneur to a businessman, the better it will be for you. That's
Right.
what I realized. That was the realization. What was the failure?
Mm.
The failure were the bad investments. Like, you don't know many things because you're not a
Mm.
businessman. You're an
Correct.
entrepreneur. So you are experimenting, and you are like, you're
Mm.
passionate, and you want to get
Mm.
things done. And and somebody told you that, hey, if you are working alone, then you are not an entrepreneur, you are not a coach. Unless and until you delegate, you are not a coach. So what do? And that mentor is so fantastic that you listen to that mentor. So what do? You hire people,
Mm.
and then things go south.
Hmm.
Then you realize that, okay, so
Mm.
I need to delegate. All right, so I need to create a team. Everybody's telling me team. I can't do everything on my own. Okay, team, fine. So let me get a team. So you get a team without thinking. And how are you hiring people? According to your experience, again, as an employer.
Mm.
You see, as an when you're in employment, when you are taking interviews, right? So when you are hiring people,
Right.
so you're looking at certain HR psychic things,
Mm.
right? But
Mm.
you don't understand that what it really matters, what it boils down to, is that each and every person that you're hiring
Mm.
can suck in technology,
Mm.
but cannot suck in mindset.
Mm.
Right? They need to be emotional about your mission. You don't realize that. So you keep
Mm.
investing because mentors tell you, and they tell you the correct thing. The mentors tell you that you need to create a team. So you create a team, you
Mm.
start giving them salaries,
Mm.
and then you realize that you only end up doing all your work.
Mm.
Why? Because you hired them according to, again, your experience.
Mm.
And you thought that
Mm.
being emotional is a bad thing,
Mm.
because you thought that there has to be a balance between emotions and
Right.
logic. So okay, so let me be smart enough, let me just, and majority of the people go really well into the logic, they forget
Mm.
about the emotion. But let me tell you, business and entrepreneur is a highly emotional game.
Mm.
So what I'm trying to tell you, I hope your audience will be able to
Of
grab,
course.
my scattered thoughts. But it's like, I
Yeah,
don't know, like,
everything
are you able
that's
to?
so the way I reframe this is they will get exactly what they meant to get right now.
Or I hope so, because
Yeah,
I think I'm
I
telling
know
you a
so.
lot of things, but like,
No, that's totally
yeah, thank
fine.
you. But what I realized, Rahul, is that the investment had to go bad.
Mm.
I had to lose over 20-25 lakhs to to, again, to get that rubber, stuck once again.
Mm.
You do everything possible, but still then you again get into that chewing gum. And first thing that, according to our belief system, the first thing that we do is we blame luck.
Mm.
So you say, oh, you know what, bad luck, and which is real pure BS, 100% BS. Okay,
Mm.
so what do? You blame luck. So now you're into depression. Oh, my luck is bad. Okay, and this and that, right?
Mm.
And then you wear rings to make it correct and all that, right?
Mm.
But nothing happens, because your innermost dominant thoughts become your outermost dominant action,
Right.
right? So the investment had to go wrong, so that I could drill down
Mm.
to my inner voice mastery.
Mm.
Right? That was my realization. If you
Mm.
cannot hear your most authentic, original,
Mm.
and the most original emotions,
Mm.
feelings, ideas,
Mm.
gut,
Mm.
right? And you're getting influenced and impressed by all the
Mm.
chaos around,
Mm.
the shiny object syndrome,
Mm.
then you will start losing even more money. So you need to stop and
Right.
realize, and you need to get into your inner voice, because unless you fix this,
Mm.
your innermost dominant thoughts, it will always reflect in your outermost dominant action. So you will
Mm.
always do those bad investments. You will always in invest in bad processes, bad softwares, bad hardware. So you will
Mm.
buy one LMS, then you realize, oh, this LMS doesn't have those many features. So you buy one email marketing system, and then you, oh, I need to buy another system. Then somebody else comes and then says that, hey, you got this email system, you got this webinar system, you're gonna suck. Do this.
Mm.
So you again upgrade
Mm.
to another LMS. I mean, give me a smiley in the chat box if you are coaches, and if you relate to what I'm trying to say, right? So these things had to happen. So
Right.
that was my second thing, and my
Mm.
third thing that happened is um, focusing more on revenue rather than on results. That was one of the
Mm.
biggest mistakes that I did. The failure that happened is because I focused on quick revenue
Mm.
to reach a certain yardstick, or
Mm.
this award or that award, or this thing or that thing,
Mm.
come on a stage and receive an award.
Right.
So if you're doing that, let me tell you that you cannot be more wrong.
Mm.
Because and then I asked, and that is the good side of a rebel. Remember, I told you that there are some good
Mm.
sides
Mm.
of being a rebel, and there are some bad sides
Right.
of being a rebel. Now the
Right.
good side of being a rebel that happened is, I asked myself, I left my corporate job to help people and do something on my own. But what I realize is, when I'm doing something on my own, again the same
Mm.
kind of designations are created.
Mm.
So if I had to go through that designation system
Mm.
to win trust of people, then I
Right.
already was doing it.
Mm.
So what's the like? So my rebel stopped me and said, are you doing the right thing? Again, the inner voice, right? So you
Mm.
listen to your innermost fears and innermost, like, you let it, you listen to them, you don't
Mm.
object them.
Mm.
Like, as you know, in martial arts, like, if
Mm.
somebody is bigger than you, how do you defend? So you don't
Mm.
object, you let it
Correct.
flow,
Mm.
right? You let
Nice.
it flow.
Nice.
So that's exactly how you need to deal with problems which are bigger than you, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
you lost money, you lost a bad team member, you lost this, that, all these things happen. Let it come, let it
Mm.
happen. So
Mm.
all these things happened, right? So I was talking about the inner voice mastery, and then I
Mm.
was talking about what was the next thing that I was talking about. I just lost a little bit. uh, is that Just give me a second here, let
Take
me
your
gather
time.
my thoughts.
Take your time.
Yeah. Yeah, so the experience versus this thing, right? That was the first thing, first
Expertise.
failure.
Mm.
Expertise. The second thing was the bad investment, and which
Mm.
led to inner voice mastery.
Correct.
And the third thing is what I wanted to tell you is that um, the community is one of the things which I wanted to tell you, that if you don't,
Mm.
yeah, results versus revenue, right? Results
Correct.
versus revenue. So that's where I realized the power of community.
Mm.
That's where I realized, see, if the more I focused on my revenue, on
Mm.
milestones to achieve,
Mm.
right, the more anxious I became.
Mm.
And that's where my rebel voice told me that, why are you getting anxious? You are
Correct.
anxious there also, in your
Mm.
corporate job.
Mm.
So what's the point of I thought that you're following your passion and you're loving what you're doing. So is that story already sold or old or what?
Right.
My inner voice asked me this.
Wow.
My rebel asked me this, like are you the guy who told everybody, I want to follow my passion, I want to serve people? Is that the same guy? But after, and you want to do something that you love,
Mm.
so you're doing it, but you're again feeling anxious. So what's wrong? What's going on?
Right.
Right? So
Right.
that's when you realize is that you know you gotta focus
Mm.
on people,
Mm.
on relationship,
Beautiful. Focus on
right?
people and relationships rather than revenue.
Exactly,
Mm.
because you want to serve. Everybody says, I want to serve, I have a mission.
Mm.
What does it eventually boils down to?
Mm.
Like, why are you serving somebody? Because you
Mm.
want to comfort that person.
Right.
Why you want to comfort that person? Because that
Mm.
person is going through a problem.
Correct.
So the first question before you even think of selling or think of,
Mm.
getting into some this award or that award,
Mm.
first of all, can you ask yourself that have you actually comforted,
Mm.
given comfort to each and every person that came in contact with you? Have you?
Wow.
Have you crossed the T's and dotted the I's to the very last person that entered your so-called community last month? Let's say
Mm.
last month entered 5 people in your community. Have you done everything possible to actually serve and help them?
Mm.
Or you were busy calculating, okay, 5 people
Mm.
level 3 at the rate of 50,000, so I got 2.5 lakhs. Oh, I'm 50,000 short for this award. Is
Mm.
that how you're thinking? Now, the more I focused on revenue, Rahul, the
Mm.
more anxious I
Mm.
became, and the more anxious I became, the more bad investments happened, rushed, haste
Mm.
happened,
Mm.
blaming happened, self
Mm.
doubt happened. The numbers started to tank down.
Wow.
All these things happened. So this was one of the biggest realization, and I must tell you, I'm still working on it. Let me be honest enough to tell
Mm.
you that no matter what you do, end of the day, because I don't have any job, and thanks to, though we are separated, but my wife, thanks to my wife, that she's taking care of the kid and everything, I don't have much
Mm.
pressure. But at end of the day, I need food on my plate, right? So while
Right.
you have to focus on your revenue, you just cannot ignore, or not
Mm.
ignore, cannot less prioritize
Mm.
results. You
Mm.
must prioritize your results. So I'm still working on it. If you ask me, my entire day goes with these two things:
Mm.
learning and working for
Mm.
results.
Mm.
And I would
And
say
here,
maybe third, and third thing is revenue, that I'm looking at my revenue,
ha,
but but
correct.
but but result is more prioritized than revenue.
Got it. And here, when you say results, it's more sort of people based rather than pure numbers, right?
Oh yes, oh yes, relationship, bro. Like
Mm.
that's,
Mm.
like that's who I am.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a
Yeah.
rebel at the first place. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree to this, with you're an NLP expert or not, and I don't know if your audience will agree to this, but I think there's a straight equation
Mm.
of being emotional and being rebel,
Right.
and being a coach, like,
Mm.
and being a good coach, like a coach who does crazy things in the market, like who's really outstanding.
Mm.
Like, I can take names after names for this. I'm not talking about MLM
Mm.
suffered suffocated
Mm.
people. I'm talking about people like Siddharth Rajsekar. I'm talking
Mm.
about Ankur Wariko. I'm talking about Rajiv Talreja. I'm talking about Blair Singer. I'm talking about
Mm.
all these people who did something, who are doing something genuine, original, awesome. If you ask me, and if you trace down their history, and I can say it with confidence, because
Sure.
the names that I took, I have personally met and sat so many
Mm.
times with that person, and I can tell you, they were all emotional, they
Mm.
were all rebels.
Mm.
So you gotta be emotional, you gotta be a rebel, but you gotta prioritize your results,
Mm.
and you have to be like, that's who you are, right? You're emotional, so you're taking
Mm.
care of people. Don't lose it.
Mm.
Don't lose it in the midst of software, hardware, processes, funnels, certificates, and whatnot. Don't lose it.
Mm.
Be
Mm.
emotional, cry,
Yes.
let the tears flow.
Mm.
Let That is so bloody important. That's the long
Mm.
term game.
Correct. So speaking of, you literally like, it's like we are vibing on a different level, right?
Oh yes, oh
That's
yes.
like I shared at the beginning of today's podcast. That's how we connected. And I did leave an open loop at the beginning of the podcast saying that, somewhere in the middle, I'll also
I
share with
need to
you
be,
the,
yeah,
the impact that you had on me. One was you recognized me for the person that I am. When you talk about the rebel, I know you use the word contrarian when we started,
yeah, yeah,
when we worked for a period of time together,
yeah.
where I had reached a point. I had obviously, learned a lot. My journey started like from way back in 2016 in learning,
Mm,
like marketing
mm,
psychology, sales psychology, funnels, and all of that stuff, right? And this is way
yeah,
before
yeah.
in the coaching industry, where we didn't even have a coaching industry. Like I'm talking like 2016 when you talk about marketing and sales, especially. Cut to 2023, and you very quickly understood that that's not who I am, which is the you have to follow a certain, a set path, right? A set pattern.
Mm, mm,
And you recognize that, and that's, I can feel that again, like even as you're now tapping into
yeah.
that. So something that I know we briefly talked about in our prep call for today. And again,
Mm,
obviously share as much as you want to. But I know there are people, let's say common connections, people who are following your journey,
yeah.
whether it's the fitness. Now you've kind of also started to expand into, energy consumption, right? So if you
Yeah,
could share that,
yeah.
and I'll also say this why, because I started a 100 push-ups, 100 days
Oh
challenge for
my God, that
myself,
was
which
crazy.
was
Yeah,
inspired by you when you had started this, daily 6 a.m. for 30 days, meaning that you were doing it for
yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
You were not running a class. You are not doing,
No, no,
it was
correct.
just you for you, right? So if you'd love to share as much as you want to, like what is inspiring you to, and what's driving you every day to do it, because you're not only doing it, you're tracking it, you're documenting it, you're sharing it, and I
Yeah.
know it is leaving a mark on people's journey, where whether they're struggling with health, it could be with building a
Hmm.
habit, right?
Hmm.
Like these are typically the two areas, if you ask me, for coaches. It's health and it's habits, where
Oh
most
yes.
of our demons tend to kind of suck our energy, right?
Yeah.
Considering that our intention here is to serve other people, these are the two aspects which tend to draw out our, or draw away our chi,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm very curious to hear, uh, of course, what inspired you to come up with this, and then of course today, and you can go in whichever order, like,
Hmm.
okay, today this is what I'm doing, or this
Hmm.
is how it started, and
Right.
what's getting you to keep coming back every day, and you're doing it and you're tracking it, and I can see there's like this movement that's building around it.
Oh my God, what a word. Yeah, I love that word, movement. Correct, correct, correct. So thank you so much for asking that question, Rahul, and thank you for saying that you got inspired. Let me tell you that in last 3 months, like I do
Mm.
like these monthly things.
Mm-hmm.
So in the first month that I started in November, I think November to October, what I did is, I think I started in October. So from
Mm.
October to November, I just told myself that let us just wake up on time.
Mm.
So I don't want to miss my sunrise. That's it.
Yes.
Okay,
Beautiful.
now, right. So what inspired me is, it was like that. What should I say? The last ounce of the years of failures, and
Wow. Beautifully
like
put.
it's like the last drop of oil
Mm.
which had to come out,
Mm.
so when you press those things,
Mm.
right, and the last drop sort of falls, this was it, because
Mm.
everything else have been done, have been
Mm.
doing, and in continuation I'm learning.
Of
I
course.
was not learning, I'm not no more limited by my experience.
Mm.
I'm a people, I'm reminding myself every day
Mm.
that I have goals, I have direction, I have
Beautiful.
mentors, I have community to wake up to. All this are fine, but one thing was missing,
Mm.
and I kept asking myself, and it took me a lot of meditation to trigger it,
Yeah.
right, to actually the to switch on that machine.
Yes.
I knew what it is, but
Yes.
it was not coming out. It was not
Yes.
like, it was not
Yeah.
happening. It was
Mm.
not action. It was
Mm.
a thought. It was a realization, but it was not an
Mm.
action,
Right.
right?
Right.
So the switch was the meditation. The switch
Beautiful.
was, and I do vipassana, kind of like mindfulness
Mm.
meditation, sati
Mm.
upasana, like. So I had to go to places literally, and
Nice.
that's like my thumb, you can say my thumb rule, or my whatever safety net. Whenever I feel stuck or whatever, I just take
Mm.
my car out alone, and I literally go to a place where I don't get too much of network, not zero network, but not too much of network,
Mm.
like, on and off kind of network. So
Right.
I don't want any interventions, right?
Right.
And there I stay with myself and with
Mm.
nature. And if you have done ever, if you have learned anything from the Zen philosophy or Buddhism, the nature is your biggest teacher.
Mm.
There are already teachers, like your body is your own teacher, right?
Correct. Correct.
Your mind is your teacher. The grass that you're looking at, the sun that you're looking at, the rabbit that you're looking at, the deer that you're looking at, the
Mm.
horse that you're looking at, they are all teachers. You don't
Mm.
need anything else to teach you. You don't
Mm.
have to go through a concept to learn. You just
Mm.
watch a tree and you will learn.
Mm.
You watch a grass, you see
Mm.
the movement, but you should have the mindfulness to observe,
Mm.
not to pick up your cell phone and talk to someone, right? So we forget all this basic natural
Mm.
things. So I had to be with myself, and then the switch was on,
Nice.
and it got pressed, and the
Mm.
drop that came out, the last ounce, which sort of started the movement, I would say. Now I
Right.
can say that, okay, I am converting my message to my mission,
Mm.
to my movement. So
Yeah.
message to mission, from mission to movement. So now I can
Nice.
see that movement phase starting,
Yes.
because that press happened, and the
Yes.
oil was, I would say, in one single word: discipline.
Mm.
You must get disciplined. You must get used to becoming uncomfortable. You
Mm.
must do things which you always hated, you always
Mm.
avoided. You must push yourself. And
Mm.
I told myself that unless and until that actually comes into execution, if I
Mm.
cannot actually push myself, then I cannot expect anything else.
Mm.
I can't expect that my students will push themselves. I cannot expect
Mm.
that my mentors will walk the extra mile to push themselves to help me. I cannot, expect anything else. The government, the system, the sabji wala, the doodh wala. I cannot expect anybody to walk that extra mile if I cannot walk the extra mile. What the hell?
Mm.
And I've been complaining. I've been blaming,
Mm.
right? Without you know doing that thing, that last discipline. So if,
Mm.
like, I had to do it. So what triggered is the meditation, but it
Mm.
was a conglomeration of, like, too much of failures and knowledge and this and that and realization. And
Mm.
finally I just, and yeah, one more thing I would say: the first time I didn't overthink.
Mm.
And till date I do not overthink. And that's
Yes.
what changed in Sikkim. You know about my Sikkim trip, right? And I went to the monasteries and all that. In Romtek there is something called Romtek monastery.
Mm.
You can look it up. It's
Mm.
oh, it's like,
Yeah.
wow, like, it's like it will tear you apart, like, the crouching tiger and the hidden dragon, right? It's like it'll tear you apart, not like through action, through thought. Like, you just
Right.
sit there, and the vibe will tear you
Mm.
apart. As they say, it'll make you naked. It will make you see yourself,
Mm.
the naked self, right? And you will realize that who you are. Oh my god, that was
Mm.
like, wow. And then I realized that, what overthinking,
Mm.
you just have to stop it. Like, everything in Buddhism is about body, mass, and soul. Their
Right.
starting mantra itself, Om Mani Padme Hum, says that
Mm.
my body and my wisdom, when aligned together, will purify my soul.
Beautiful.
Now understand, They have not ignored the body. They're talking about the
Mm.
body. Om Mani Padme Hum basically means that my body and my wisdom. You see, they're not even saying
Mm.
intelligence, they're saying
Correct.
wisdom.
Wisdom.
Remember my uncle's joke? There are three
Mm-hmm.
type of people,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
you know, so the body with wisdom, when aligned
Mm.
together, will purify my soul. Now if
Mm.
you're not thinking that soul is that movie where somebody dies and there is a white floating thing coming
Mm.
out,
Mm.
I'm saying that is not soul. For me, it is my subconscious mind,
Mm.
which pushes you, which helps you to take the most difficult decisions in your life. It
Mm.
helps you,
Sure.
right? It doesn't take, it helps. The conscious brain will take it, but according to
Right.
me, the subconscious brain will help you to take.
Mm.
And that is, according to me, is soul. That is
Mm.
my inner voice. That is, I
Nice.
know I'm completely
No,
going
you're
off the board in terms of
exactly where you're meant to
in,
be.
in terms of NLP, technical stuff, or being supernatural. I may be
Mm-hmm.
completely over the board. What I mean is, Om Mani Padme Hum is your body
Mm.
has to align with your wisdom to
Correct.
purify the soul. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're thinking about subconscious mind, if you're
Mm.
thinking about your inner voice mastery, if you're thinking about anything,
Mm.
any tough thing to handle,
Yeah.
emotional intelligence, behavioral intelligence, communication skills, digital
Mm.
marketing, whatever that you're thinking that you should be able to do it effortlessly, hello, don't ignore your body. It has to
Mm.
unite with your wisdom. You cannot do it alone with wisdom. With logic, you can't do it. With
Mm.
only emotions, you can't do it. With only emotion and logic and emotional intelligence, you can't do it. You have to
Mm.
involve your body into it. And when
Mm.
I got it, it was eureka for me. And that's where you also asked me, what's next? Remember, you told me,
Yeah.
looking for the next challenge. And that's when I decided I am not going to overthink. I'm going to involve
Beautiful.
my body now, no matter
Mm.
what. Because until my body is involved, I'm not purifying my soul. That's what
Mm.
Buddha told, so many years ago,
Right.
right? Sitting in the nature, like closing his eyes, chilling, his chilling and telling,
Mm.
right? And we have been ignoring it.
Mm.
So that's it, bro. Like, in
Beautiful.
short, no more overthinking. If you
Mm.
want to achieve something amazing, you have to involve your body. So I
Mm.
keep pushing my body. Pushing my mind has been happening. Pushing my
Mm.
body, I don't want to
Mm.
overthink, because there is no role of mind there. There is only
Mm.
role of body. The
Yeah.
body will take care of the mind. Similarly, when you are in the mind, there is no role of body. That's
Mm.
okay. The mind will
Mm.
take care of the body,
Yeah.
but both of them have to be taken care of.
Mm.
So that's how I wake up every day. I keep pushing
Nice.
myself and challenging
Mm.
myself. And I must tell you that, just like you, so many other people have
Mm.
written to me. I'm grateful to each and every
Mm.
one of them.
Yeah.
And I can count about four digital coaches who started in their life, like they
Nice.
implemented. You see how the intention worked. Like, there was no intention of in inspiring anybody. There was no
Mm.
intention of
Mm.
showing off. I just said that, okay, somebody told me, okay, why are you posting what you're doing in social media? Tomorrow you will
Mm.
say that, oh, I went to the toilet, I did this in the toilet. Is that
Correct.
how you're going to do it? I said, no, see, I'm doing it because I want to feel accountable to myself.
Mm.
There is nothing to hide here. I'm doing it, I'm showing it. If I can't complete 1 day challenge, I will tell everybody that I could not do. I'm sorry.
Correct. Mm.
Now you can ask me, what are you sorry for? Why you have to say sorry to somebody else? I said, no. This is what my real life and real life has to be aligned. It
Correct.
cannot be different,
Mm.
right? I cannot be like a guru in real life, and I cannot be like a dumbass in the real life. I have to
Mm.
be there, align. And that's, as you know, one of my most favorite mentors, Siddharth, says is congruence. So
Mm.
there's gotta be congruence. So many people got inspired,
Mm.
and that is how intention works. If your intention is pure, people will get
Mm.
results. I
Beautifully said.
hope you are still there and your
Let
audience
me,
has not like
no, the
slept
audience.
and all
So I keep
that.
shuttling right now from time to time just to check on the audience, and they're loving it. And let me ask
Right.
you this. Now that you shared this,
Hmm.
right? What's coming up inside for you?
Like what's happening within me.
Inside you, yeah.
Purity.
Yeah.
Like I'm just there.
Yeah.
Like there's no mask, nothing. I'm just be
Beautiful.
there. And I'm feeling so amazing. It's like floating.
Yeah.
It's like flying, right? Like there
Yep.
is no restriction.
Mm.
And that's something which I always felt whenever I spoke with you. So thank you for that. That's really important. When you can be
Thank you. And
yourself.
I'm, of course, in within frames, I'm reminded of our first conversation, our deep conversation we had in 2022. And I can see that that circle has come, that has come full circle. Just listening to
Mm,
you today in how you are, refining and defining, your life and who you are. And like you said, you're not complexifying it. You're just keeping it so simple, so accessible to you, and that is what's
mm.
creating the movement. That's what's creating that ripple.
You have
So
a role to play, bro. Seriously. Thank you for that.
so and thank you. Like I said, I
Mm.
there's no way I could have imagined these conversations from that very first time that we met in like June,
Oh,
July of
yes. Oh, my God.
2022 on a Saturday, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I as I'm also kind of like reflecting, the person that you are becoming more and more and being more and more every day, right? Obviously, and I know that you have some very, very diehard fans who just absolutely adore you for who you are and the role that you play in their life every single day. um, like for people who want to reach out to you, for people who want to experience this magic in their lives, like how do they do that? Like what have you currently, and this is like saying, as a coach, like what is it that you have created, or what version of your movement is something that people can have access to, so that they can, even if it's making one small shift. We know that there's no such thing as a
Mm,
small shift. I'm just using that as an expression, but it's like making that 1 degree shift in their life. Like
mm,
in
mm.
what way can people reach out, and what are you currently like driving that can make a difference in their lives?
Wonderful. So, thank you for asking that, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to share it. I have a couple of funnels, but the one funnel which I would like to share, which is very relatable to the coaches,
Mm.
is the funnel where I help them with performance marketing
Mm.
in Facebook and Google. So that is the community that they can be at. It was on a slow track for a couple of months because I had to focus on my
Mm.
other funnels.
Sure.
And now that my other funnels are getting stabilized and
Mm.
getting automated and all that, I can now invest more time back into
Correct.
this funnel which talks
Mm.
about performance marketing for digital coaches. Okay.
Beautiful. What is it
Now,
called?
it's called C4, Entrepreneurs Hub.
Got it.
C4 Entrepreneurs Hub. And you can reach out to me with a simple link tree,
Yeah, so
link
I will
tree,
be
this thing.
sharing, once we are done with the live, I will
Right.
pin that comment. That's one.
Yeah,
And of course, people can obviously reach out to you through this. Our handles are anyway there.
absolutely.
I will be sharing your link tree, which has all of the different ways
Yeah,
in which people can follow you. But
people
the
can be
program
right.
that you're talking about is called the C4
Entrepreneurs Hub, or you can
Entrepreneurs Hub.
say, yeah, C4 should be enough.
Yeah, there. I
And the
think you
reason
have one of
why,
the links, which is called
correct, correct,
C4.
correct.
Correct? Yeah. Go ahead.
C4, yeah, Business Explosion Bootcamp. That's what I
Perfect.
call. And there's a Facebook group. So right now you can simply, anybody who wants to get in
Mm.
touch with me about digital coaching and how, and it's obviously performance marketing is the main thing that I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
focus.
Mm-hmm.
But as I always say, everything that I shared here, I'm going to talk more about that in a systematic way there,
Mm.
because I believe 80% of anything that we do is mindset.
Mm.
15% is skill set, and
Mm.
only 5% is tool set.
Mm.
Now, while performance marketing has a lot to do with tool set, I will not be ignoring the mindset. So that's the deal. So please come join, and you can just be there, take a tour around, and I'll be launching it, launching some group coaching,
Mm.
group coaching plans for people who are there, and
Yeah.
I will be announcing there. So the first thing I would say, they can join my Facebook
Mm.
group to improve their performance marketing
Yeah.
using Facebook and Google.
Yeah. So just to
Right.
while you're saying that, and I do complete your what you were about to say in a moment, but this is something that's very very directly connected. And as someone who, like I said, you know, in the summer of 2023, I kind of had reached a point where I I knew what I didn't want to do. I didn't know what that was that I wanted to do.
Hmm.
And so in our conversations, and I had taken your coaching program at that point where we were working one on one, right? It's
Right.
one thing being friends with coaches or having friends who are coaches and coaches who are friends, but it's a very different thing
Hmm.
when you are committing to you're committing to yourself to make that change.
Hmm.
And when you're hiring somebody, especially if it's somebody that you know as a friend who's a coach, it takes on a very different you know
Yeah.
equation and a relationship. And for me, I know that those 3 months of our conversations that we had, they really did help me kind of like zoom out and look at everything that I had done so far and
Hmm.
reposition what I was saying. So a lot of what you see today, the some of the direction in the branding, meaning that okay, you like have the multiple channels and
Hmm. Hmm.
the posters, a lot of that, the it was more of being able, for me personally, it was more of having somebody who would listen, because that was what I needed, rather than being
Hmm.
told what I should do. Because to me, this
Got it.
worked. Now
Yeah.
obviously every
Hmm.
coach has a different requirement,
Different requirement. Correct.
but for me, that's why I also, even on a professional standpoint, I hold you in high regard, because you were able to very very quickly pick up on that, and you kind of like pump the brakes, and then you allowed for what was needed for me to show up, right?
Hmm.
So
Right.
in many ways, even this podcast has its roots in those
Hmm.
conversations that we had. And in fact, we would do the initial brainstorming, and the line that eventually came was, this was like, I work with coaches, but specifically helping digital coaches maximize their market value. So that expression
Hmm.
came out of our conversations that we had in those 3 to 4 months. So
Months. Right.
so what you're saying right now, that you're like going back into building on that
Yeah.
funnel and offering performance marketing in a group
Correct.
context. And I don't know if you're also
Correct.
doing one to one, but I
I
know
will
that.
be. Yeah.
Exactly. So I know that
Yeah.
when you're talking, you're not just saying it, but that you're there to support people. So I
Yeah.
really do wish like the right coaches reach you, and that they're also able to experience that shift in their journey and on their journey, right?
Absolutely,
So
Rahul. You have a
now you
great
can
role to
continue.
play in all this. No, I just wanted to say that like all of these things. Even I was evolving with you while
Mm,
I mean, the more you test your waters, like test your market, and
correct.
you know that different types of people have different types of requirement, different types of like problems, or you can say uh, requirement. They want to be somewhere else. So
Correct.
while everybody comes for performance marketing,
Mm,
but the needs sort of they
correct.
diversify after
Yep.
they come. So that's the plan exactly. So what I realized is that before I go to one to one,
Mm,
I wanted to segregate them in through group coaching. Like, yeah,
right.
once I do a group like coaching, I would realize after interacting with them that okay, these many people are specifically looking forward to this thing, and these many people are specifically looking forward to that thing.
Mm,
So the one to ones will happen, but there's a filter sort of before you
beautiful.
get to one to one. You got to go through some kind of group coaching, some basic like
Mm,
filtering that okay, what do you
correct.
want, right?
Correct.
And as you said, like I'm like, I can be as open as you can think of. So if I can do it, I will do it.
Exactly.
And if I cannot do it, I'll tell you that
Hmm.
I'm not capable of doing it, right?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
probably I'll do whatever I can to connect you with the industry,
Correct.
around, right?
Hmm.
Or the industry expert in that.
Hmm.
So that's what being in a community helps you achieve, right?
Hmm.
You're
Yeah.
connected with so many
Yeah.
people. So I can, right? Yeah. So you can
Beautiful.
like
Yeah. So
refer.
I will definitely, like I said, share those links. And, uh, as we started to build out this, which began, last year, where I was kind of like reshaping what I offer.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I know that this year, for me personally, I'm focusing on hypnosis and NLP because I know
Hmm.
that coaches are more aware today that there is such a thing called
Yeah.
NLP. Hypnosis is
Absolutely.
still, it's like the next wave. So for coaches who
Hmm.
are looking to catch the wave before everybody else jumps on, that's actually the
Hmm.
reason why I've also created a Telegram community group. So it's called the iHypnosis
Hmm.
coaching community. So I'll also be
Okay.
sharing that link. And at some point in the year, probably towards the latter half, I will be doing one program launch. So until then, of
Hmm.
course, for people who are interested in hypnosis, or more importantly, in, let's say, okay, I know I've heard of NLP. What is it? How does it work?
What
For
is it?
someone that's
Oh my
been on
God,
this
so
journey
powerful.
since
Right.
2007, I think today I can say that I do know a little bit more than a thing or two about NLP, and of course hypnosis. So,
Hmm.
just two things to keep in mind. And uh, as we are moving more into like the latter half, I'm curious to know, and obviously you can share whatever you feel is relevant. But like, what was
Hmm.
your experience of doing NLP? Like, what was it like being on the outside and then on the inside? I'm very curious to know what was that like.
A little bit of that you already know. I had shared it with you,
Mm-hmm.
but basically the initial thing of doing NLP, the initial
Mm,
craze of doing NLP was just to get that thing, just to
right.
get that designation that okay, I am an NLP practitioner. Yeah.
Mm,
So I wanted to show off, that
mm,
word in my,
yeah.
curriculum vitae.
Yeah.
And but that backfired, of course. Like,
Mm,
then I realized that people don't even, at that point of time, I'm talking about 2017, 18, 16, maybe early
mm,
16, sorry, late 16, right? So what happened is, like, yes, I did NLP, or like
mm,
LNP practitioner, I finished in a couple of
right.
days.
Yeah.
All right. And well, the things that were taught there, the concepts that were taught
Mm,
there, sort of stayed with me
correct.
somewhere in my subconscious mind. It's like the red car theory, like you pass
Mm,
a lot of red cars but you don't
mm,
notice them, but they are
correct.
not gone, they're somewhere there. So when you seek, they'll come back.
Correct.
So that that red car
Nice.
theory happened with me. So NLP, I learned, okay,
Mm,
a lot of fantastic, phenomenal things.
mm,
And but I didn't utilize, because my,
mm,
see, again, what was my intention? My intention was that, that
correct.
designation, Srimaya Mahapatra NLP practitioner. So I started showing off because my
Right.
intention was met, like
Correct.
my target was met. So I got certificate. I had something. I was ANLP certified, like,
Mm,
American Neuro Linguistic Programming, and
mm,
member and all that. I got a membership number and whatnot,
mm,
and you know started flashing everywhere.
mhm.
And then my target market in Odisha, those days I started with Odisha, and and I went to each and every college and school over in that point of time. And why I'm laughing is because I used to flash this card
Correct.
also, right, which used to say
Wow.
Srimaya Mahapatra, not founder or anything. It just used to say NLP practitioner.
Mm,
And they would say that, okay, so sir, ये आपका NLP कहाँ आता है? ये भुवनेश्वर में आता है कि मुंबई में आता है? कहाँ पे बनाया आपने NLP? So they
wow.
used to think the NLP is an organization or something. So what I'm trying to say, ये NLP कहाँ गिरेगा, कहाँ आता है ये? अच्छा,
Correct.
कितना दूर है? अच्छा, ये श्रीमय महापत्र कहाँ है? NLP ऑफिस में काम करते हैं.
Wow.
What I'm trying to say here is that I'm basically exaggerating, but what I'm trying to say is they had no jackass clue
Mm,
about what is NLP,
mm,
right? So the thing which I wanted to show off, my
mm,
target market did not understand.
Correct.
So what was the point of doing that NLP? I felt very, like,
Mm,
cheated and all that. And
mm,
I felt that, oh, this NLP sucks. And I
mm,
threw it, I kept it somewhere, off
mm.
the shelf.
Correct.
And then when I did that, and I saw that, okay, in my target market, people understand the language of, like, PMI certified
Mm.
or ICF certified,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, okay, all right, so let me do that. So that started, then I started showing off, and that started working. So that was
Right.
my initial
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But then when I interacted with people like you, Paul,
Mm.
and then Ashlesh, and
Mm.
all these people, when I started talking with some of the real people who had the depth, who have the depth of NLP.
Mm.
And when I realized that, oh my god, how, and even Siddharth and some people, they talk about it. Our mentors also say that, okay, this is a concept of NLP. For example,
Mm.
Siddharth quite frequently he talks about anchoring
Yep.
yourself, right? So anchoring
Yep.
is one of the techniques. So then I
Mm.
realized the red car came out, like, oh, I had seen this red car somewhere. Yeah. So then I started researching on that, and went back to
Mm.
my notes and all that. And so
Nice.
then I started realizing that you can do
Mm.
crazy stuff if you
Mm.
can actually implement NLP,
Mm.
in your business. More
Mm.
than business, it has to get implemented into your coaching style, right?
Mm.
How do you coach?
Yeah.
Basically, it's a relationship builder, I would say. I mean,
Correct.
from my point of view, you
Yeah.
can
100%.
build a phenomenal relationship, a depth of understanding, an entanglement
Mm.
with your learners. And
Mm.
when that happens, that's
Mm.
all that is needed. Don't you
Correct.
want your customers to be entangled with you throughout your life? Don't you want your students to be your fans for a long time? Don't
Right.
you want to give results to your customers and students as a businessman or entrepreneur? Well,
Yep.
welcome to NLP. Hello.
Yep.
Right. So now I understand the
Mm.
importance of it. But the starting was like, my bad.
No, no. It's all. It's like you said something almost at the very beginning. You needed to have that to appreciate it today. The
Hmm.
when you talk about the failure or the
The
loss.
the chewing gum in your Italian leather. Right, 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 right.
So this
Yes,
was a
yes, yes.
different kind of Italian leather, right?
Yeah.
And you needed it because today your appreciation of it, today when you see examples of it, and I'll tell you this, just listening to, I mean, if you ever get to this point of the live, which again will of course be shared as a video on my
Hmm.
YouTube channel, it's like if you ever get to this point,
Hmm.
wow, this is like psychic. If you ever get to this point and you watch yourself in these last 3-4 minutes, that was pure poetry, right?
Yeah.
You were
Okay.
really
Hmm.
feeling it, like, hey, this is something that can change your life,
Yeah. Of course.
right?
What? Yeah.
So
Of
I'm saying,
course. Of
like, as a
course. Yeah.
spokesperson um, from a real experience, from a real, like, in your life,
Yeah.
you've seen, like, hey, I did have that red car, and today I see that red car, like, going, like, like a Corvette or a Ferrari. It's like zoom,
Yeah.
zoom,
Yeah.
zoom, and there are
Absolutely.
red cars out there, which it's like
Hmm.
everybody needs a red car in their life,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's so
Exactly.
beautiful to
Exactly.
just hear you say it like this, because
Yeah. You need
if
to
you
add
ask
that to a
me,
fleet. Yeah.
exactly, like in 2007 when I saw it for the first time, it just blew my mind, right? And that's why, like, literally, what is it, like 17 years later, I'm still here, and I use it, I do it, and I teach it, right? So
And I can see that you utilize it,
yeah,
in your communication. Like whenever you communicate, you use it. And that's the thing which brought me
yeah.
back, when I said that, when I met
Mm,
with because see, I met with you and Paul as friends first, then we
correct.
went into business, have a
Yeah.
professional relationship or
Mm,
anything. Ashlesh was a professional relationship, but
mm,
when we started, I could see that after every time I spoke with people
mm,
who have the knowledge of NLP, they will bring something out
Mm.
from me, like something positive. They
Beautiful.
will, like how Robin Sharma always says, like I
Mm.
love, like I'm like
Mm.
he's one of my mentors and I'm a part of his paid community, and he always says that, a mentor lets you see something that you might have ignored, see something in
Beautiful.
yourself. A mentor helps you see something in you which you might
Mm.
have ignored. And
Beautiful.
I said, every time I spoke with these guys, these NLP, so-called NLP guys, they would always bring something positive, which even I didn't realize.
Mm.
Like, oh, really? I could do that?
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Like a
Yeah.
perspective, I would say.
Yeah. 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 Beautiful.
And that's why it's neuro linguistic. Whatever is there
Yeah.
is here,
Yeah.
and that's why you learn the programming of it. So it's
Exactly.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
you should.
And just to add to what you said, there's the deprogramming, which is what most of us have grown up with a program, and therefore we deprogram that
Yeah.
limitation. Oh, I'm
Oh,
like
yeah.
this only. This is me. I can't change. Why? Because we grew up seeing that, and so the
True.
deprogramming, and then we say, okay, now we are ready to reprogram,
Now we can. Yeah.
right? Because
True.
like someone like my mentor said this recently. It's like the 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 real economy is our attention, right?
Hmm.
And either we are the ones that hold that, or someone else will use it,
Wow.
right?
Balbon.
So when you talk about, like,
Yeah.
social media, or what things we consume, either they will draw our attention away, or we get to choose. It's beautiful. I
Yeah.
mean, just it's so powerful, your story, especially. Like everything else was kind of like all of that led up to you having that, the realizations in these last 3 to 3.5 months, and it didn't happen
Hmm.
in isolation. It was all of that led you here, where you went, like, in these last 3 months, the person that you're being, the person that you're
Hmm.
becoming every single
Hmm.
day, right? So I'm sure you can sense it when you now walk into a room, whether it's a digital room or whether it's a,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know in real,
Offline.
right,
Yeah.
offline. You
Hmm.
can feel it because you're seeing it through other people. They are
Hmm.
seeing in you what you now
In
know
me.
in you,
Yeah.
right? Because you're living it, because
Yeah.
every day now you're having these conversations with yourself,
Correct. Correct. Correct.
right?
Correct.
So it's such a joy to hear. And like I said, I mean, our relationship in this world is about, a year and a half or two, right? We met
Yeah.
what, 22, towards like middle of 22.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
22.
about a
Yeah.
year and
Mid.
something.
Hmm.
But I know that, if we believe in parallel realities, we probably,
Oh,
were like
yeah.
Chinese kung fu
Oh, my
masters at
God.
some point somewhere.
Yeah.
uh,
36 chambers. You were in 34. I was in 32.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I like I said, I couldn't have asked for a better, uh, like when you buy the amazing vehicle and you're going on this road trip, the first thing you do is you take the nariyal and you photo it for good luck and auspicious,
Yeah.
and protection on the journey of transformation. So what a
Hmm.
beautiful way, for me, to have had this time with you, and
Oh, come on.
your
Yeah.
insights. And yeah, I
Thanks.
mean, I
Thanks.
am definitely looking forward to seeing you in a part two. uh it's like saying, within, let's say, about 6 months, where you've gone even further. It'll be beautiful to
Hmm.
hear, um
Yeah.
what that has been. And
Like the
for
movement has started, and like I'm inside the movement, and let's see
exactly,
what's
yeah,
happening,
what's
right?
that,
Yeah.
right? And as you're
But I'll
describing
tell you
it.
what.
Hmm. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
but I'll tell you, do please first check with your audience if they could handle this, because
So I'll let
we
you in
can
on a
talk for hours.
secret. Exactly. I'll let you in on a
Yeah, yeah.
secret. Your audience has been thoroughly enjoying. I'm like, I have a parallel screen, so I'm just noticing, the
Hmm.
comments. And I know that these are people who have, and I know a lot of them. I can see the comments, at least the ones that I know. I know they've really,
Hmm.
really gained something from this. And like I said, that
All
was what
right.
inspired me to start the iHypnosis coaching journeys. And what a beautiful way to start. So yeah, I'm
Bro, this
definitely
is
looking
this is a
forward
very
to.
important journey. Yeah. I mean, let's do that
Yeah.
500, and like I'm always there to help you out. And this is like really I'm connected. I feel very connected to the cause
Yes.
of this show, and I would always endorse it. Like it's very
Mm.
important because every now and then when I bump into coaches offline or
Mm.
online, like they all have some kind of things which they are not able to express. They're going through that pain, and they're going through something.
Correct.
Some people have left their job, some people have sold their
Mm.
jewelry, some people have sold their land, some people have got
Mm.
that, some people fought with their wives and children and whatnot, and they're still trying to make a living, trying
Yeah.
to create an impact. But the pain and the, as you
Yes.
said, as a coach you have to go through a journey of soullessness and all that,
Mm.
and they're not able to express, right? So
Yeah.
we this show is going to be a voice for
Beautiful.
them. It's going to
Beautiful.
be a forum where
Mm.
this is very important. They need to stay connected.
Yeah.
And as we get into the AI and the
Mm.
automations and stuff like that, so
Yeah.
super highway of data and information where we get lost anywhere easily,
Mm.
the more emotional connections that we
Yeah.
build, the humane we are going to
Mm.
stay.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
Otherwise
That's
a robot
beautiful.
will just come,
Mm.
just like a reel has come out where a Russian fighter trying to be a jackass, by a smart ass, by kicking the robot, and the robot just punches once, and he's like, not, at least not dead, but gone. Like
Mm.
his teeth come out. So you don't try to be too much, go above
Mm.
your AI and stuff. Just stay there, but be warm inside,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the emotional connect. You
Mm.
gotta do that. So
Mm.
this show is that. Thank you for
Beautiful.
for having me.
Thank you for saying that. And like I said, I'm very eagerly and with curiosity looking forward to a part two. And of course, we will continue to have conversations. And I have a couple of things that I know I want to make available into the world, especially our world of coaches. Um, like I said, the even the conversations we had a year ago was not it was not by accident, right? There's no
Hmm.
accidents in the work that we do. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how the year progresses for you, and what you can share with and I'm just keeping one eye on my notes to see in case I've missed something. So yeah,
Okay.
let me ask you this as we start to wrap. um,
Hmm.
what's that one word or one sentence that inspires you, especially when in a moment you feel like giving up?
Hmm. Never thought about it,
Mm-hmm.
but like impromptu, if you ask me,
Sure.
I never thought about it. But then if you ask me, like, what is that one thing which I keep thinking about at the times of, you asked about the at pressing times, right? Like
Yeah.
difficult times, and when I
Something.
feel like giving up. And
Yes.
um again, I don't know, I mean, you can understand it better, but it is not from my journey from last 7 years, but it came, it's sort of there in my
Mm.
subconscious. When the zen, my
Mm.
training,
Mm.
I can't tell you, like many people won't be able to connect because they think that okay, martial art is just about belts and all that. But then that day, those days, that altitude, like the sea level,
Yeah.
above sea level,
Yeah.
the my house was at the hills, on the
Mm.
hills, and those things,
Mm.
that those days, those times, those tricks, that mentor, that age
Mm.
changed everything in my life.
Mm.
Everything. And I did it for 7 years. And to answer your question, I always,
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that comes, I don't know if it's a word, but it will be difficult for me to say in a
Sure.
word.
Sure.
But as an expression, I can say that what's your best move,
Wow. That's it.
right? right? Like when the audience is thinking that you're done and you're on the ground, what's your best move? Where is it?
Wow.
Like,
Beautiful. Beautiful.
come on,
Beautiful.
what is it? Come on, like,
Nice.
come on, let's
Nice.
do it. So I
Nice.
said, so
Nice.
my mentor in Zen days, he always used to say, and it was original authentic Muay Thai, like, how it used to be, like,
Mm.
original, like, no certificates or belts
Mm.
or fancy dresses, like normal, normal shorts, and you learn Muay Thai, and it's completely different. As I said, those
Mm.
days,
Yeah.
that mentor, that year, different. So he always used to say, Srimay, remember, you have a certain thing, and that is resilience. I don't know how, but you have it.
Mm.
So, what you need to do, you need to always save your best move till the end, till you get pinned down.
Mm.
Let the claps, let the the cheer come for your opponent.
Mm.
Let your opponent be happy and smile for few seconds, because the
Mm.
next 1 minute is going to be different for him and the
Right.
audience. And it happened every time.
Yeah.
Anybody who would think that I'm done, I will surprise them.
Mm. I have a sneaky
So
suspicion, right? Just hearing you like this, and I was correlating it to your story, right? I have a sneaky
yeah.
suspicion that today, largely, it has become you versus you. So just when you think, or just when you, the other version of you, thinks that you're done and the
Ha.
claps are coming, haha, I won, that's when
Yeah.
it's like, what's your best move? And like, you like rise right up,
Yeah.
and it's
Rise
like,
right up and do
you
like that fancy thing, and you're done.
correct.
Like,
Or
the
it's like
entire
that
situation is changed.
skadoosh.
Yes, skadoosh. Correct.
That's like a Kung Fu Panda
So yeah,
reference, but
correct. Yeah,
yeah,
skadoosh. Correct. I
right.
remember. I remember. I
And
recall.
and just
Yeah.
one last thing here, because you said something so powerful, and I myself have discovered it, in these last 3 4 months. I've known it from before, obviously, but it's taken on special significance, which is, like you said, you're not overthinking it anymore,
No, like,
right?
no
If there's
point,
one
bro.
thing
Like,
that I can draw from what you've shared through the entire journey, and of course how you've like finally been able to allow that final drop to flow through
yeah,
and be like, like literally get into that
yeah,
state of pure state,
yeah,
is the allowing and the effortlessness. People think that every day, okay, I'm going to wake up at 5 or whatever it
yeah,
is, it's too much effort,
yeah,
right? You
yeah.
have
Right.
discovered that it's actually through effortlessness.
Yeah, you have to let it flow. Like, just let it come. I don't know if I can explain, but
Y-
that's something
I completely get what you're saying.
which I realized all the more when I went to Ramtek, in
Yes.
Sikkim. Like, oh my
Yes.
god, like, just, and the symbols. I don't know if I shared that with you, but they have like
Hmm.
8 symbols, and
Mm.
each
Yeah.
symbol says something. And my god,
Yeah.
oh my god,
Yeah.
wow.
You're speaking my language now, because in hypnosis, there's something called symbolic language, right? So symbolic
Uh-huh.
language and symbols live in that same universe, that there is power in symbols,
Yeah, definitely,
right?
definitely. Yeah, yeah.
And like you said, when you just
101%.
be, when you just practice stillness, which is, I'm just
Yeah.
going to take that moment and meditate, take that moment and just, because it's like we think we have to constantly go chuck 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 chuck, versus let me just pause, breathe, and be present.
Oh my god, that's so important to halt, like,
Exactly.
take a breather, like, halt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then it sort of becomes natural. Like,
Mm.
now, you don't have to overthink. And what I
Of
realize
course.
is, the Om Mani Padme Hum, like, when my
Mm.
body and my wisdom gets aligned, my
Mm.
soul purifies. So I realized that
Yes.
because I did not overthink in my body,
Yeah.
now I'm not overthinking when I'm working. Like,
Yes.
I'm just
You're just
learning,
being.
doing, and yeah, being. Correct. Like, the highest state, like, being.
Yeah.
So I'm trying my best to just be there. It's not trying, it's like,
No.
I don't know, like, I think that there's still more to happen, more things to come. So that's why I'm saying that I'm still trying. You
So,
know.
if I may,
Yeah.
your definition of trying is a little different than everybody else, because most people, when they say trying, they're not doing. It's
Yeah,
like
they're just
they
thinking.
thinking. The Yoda
Yeah.
of basically the Star Wars
The Star Wars. Yeah.
analogy is the do or
Mm.
do not. There is no try. When you say
Mm.
try, you mean you're testing different things, but you're doing it moment to moment, right?
Yeah, and it's a self realization. Like, yeah,
Correct.
okay, so if I don't overthink, what happens? Okay,
Correct.
now then I like, okay, I overthought. Okay, so did I lose anything or did I gain something? Like, is overthink always bad? Like, again, it's the rebel thing which keeps
Right.
asking.
Correct. Correct.
So it's like, so I'm also like, I'm also thinking about it, like thinking in the sense I'm just making notes without overthinking. I don't overthink about overthink.
Exactly.
So I just,
Exactly.
whatever comes, my thought comes, I just keep noting it. Okay,
Mm.
so all right, I didn't overthink, so what happened? Okay, I
Nice.
overthought, so what happened?
Mm.
Did I gain or did I lose? Like, do I have
Mm.
to taboo overthink or what?
Mm.
Like, all
Yeah.
these things are happening. So that's why I'm saying I'm still learning, and
Of course,
there's still
learning is
more to
different from
come. And
trying. I
yeah,
just wanted to
trying,
make that
like,
distinction, that trying
yeah,
is
yeah.
usually where most of us as coaches, that's where we kind of do ourselves in and we knock ourselves out.
Right, right,
Karenge.
right. Day
Right?
one versus one day.
Exactly. Yeah. So this has been truly, truly fascinating. And I can't thank you enough.
Absolutely,
I'm
bro.
really
This is
looking
the
forward
longest
to.
I have sat without toxicity.
See, there you go. It's like changes happen when you're not looking.
Yeah, when you're being, you know,
Yes,
I got
exactly
that
right.
experience of Romtic. Like, you don't feel like smoking or
Yeah,
drinking. Like, yeah.
you're being present, no?
So you
That's
just,
the.
because you created that environment. So thanks to you, actually, I won't be able to sit this long with somebody. I don't know. I mean, with many,
Mm.
right? So thanks.
Thank you too.
All of you,
So,
please type PTY to Rahul George. Power to you. All right,
so
PTY to Rahul. Yes.
thank you so much for that. And of course, as a quick reminder before we go, for those of you who do want to reach out, there are many ways in which you can reach out to Shrimaya, or Shrims as we fondly call you. I will
Yeah.
obviously leave the links. There's the link tree, and you can find out more, reach out. And if you're looking to be helped by somebody who has been around for more than a while, and uh, it's like you lead with your heart, and to me that's my leading frame. When someone leads with their heart, right, that's when you're in it for the long haul. So wishing
Mm.
you all the very best on your journey. And
Thank you, Rahul. Wish you the
for
same.
people who are NLP hungry, NLP curious, and want to start or continue on the journey, I'll
He's
also
the
share
guy.
that link. Thank you for that.
Yes,
And yeah, look forward to seeing you in other forums as well. So, with that, I am
absolutely.
going to do two things. I am going to pause the. So, this is new for
Recording.
us. So, we finished the stream on YouTube. Awesome.